We produce direct view LED solutions like you see here behind me. The idea bit of the presentation today is to give you an overview of what we are doing in this market of XR, VR studios and the trends that are there and also the technologies that are used. If you can move to the next one. Yes, so within the XR stages, if it's upcoming, okay. Yes, that's what we want. So XR stages, generally everybody knows them when you look to large Hollywood productions like The Mandalorian and those type of applications. These are really interesting for us to follow, but they also push the boundaries in terms of technology. They push us in terms of what is needed in terms of pixel pitches, refresh rates, and all terms of technologies. Now, these are fantastic. They all generally are very large stages with a lot of budget that is behind it. But within the local market, more the European market, we don't see that much of these large stages. The film production is of course, far less here in Europe. So there we see the trend more into other sets of studios. So if you move to the next one, you can see one of these trends that we see in the market for those smaller tier 2 studios, as we call it, is within education. Education market has grown over the last year, certainly in virtualization, mainly post-COVID and during COVID, because people wanted to have a remote education, remote learning, hybrid learning experience. And rather than watching a teacher or a professor into a single screen with static content, they wanted to make it more dynamic, more virtual, and more interesting. So there we saw the first market arising is the education market. Another market that we see rising in these smaller studios is everything that has to do with corporate presentations. Do a town hall meeting, for example, a new product launch, the year numbers that you want to present. Also there, you want to have your CEO, your director, presenting it in a very attractive, interactive way. And there also a virtual set is used more and more often rather than your static Teams presentation by extent. Another market is everything that has to do with more entertainment, infomercial, commercial environments, where a virtual studio is used to launch a new product, to make a commercial, rather than going on-site abroad to present it. They do it in a virtualized environment. So it makes it far more interesting, far more dynamic, but also far more cost-effective to have commercials or even music videos recorded in an XR stage. And the last market that we see rising is having to do with broadcast. Broadcasters nowadays, generally they all already have a backdrop studio, but they want to reuse their studio in multiple ways. Not only for one show or one entertainment show, but they reuse it for multiple applications, but reuse each time the same studio. Just by using a virtualized set or an XR stage, you can dynamically change the content and use that studio for multiple applications. Again, allowing a very cost-effective solution and a very dynamic solution that can be used there. Now, what are the technical difficulties when you work in these type of environments? One of the major things is that you are not looking at the screen with a human eye. The human eye is completely different compared to a camera. Also here, the camera is filming the screen, and you want to have a perfect image on camera, or when you broadcast it, when you see it at home. And that is completely different. It reacts completely different as the human eye. So what is the two things that you most of the time need to take into consideration when you're filming a LED wall is what we call moiré effects and scan lines. The first one is scan lines. The next slide will show you a bit of a demonstration what scan lines is. You generally probably remember this when you took your camera from your phone and you film a screen, or in the older days you film the CRT screen, you see the rolling thing happening. What is there, the problem is that the synchronization of your camera is not in line with the synchronization of the LED wall. So to generally fix that is actually quite an easy fix. You use a gen lock all across the system, like we also do here. The camera is fully synchronized with the LED wall, and at that moment you have what we don't have, those scan lines anymore. You have a perfect stable image. The second issue that you can have is far more complex to resolve is what we call moiré effects. And moiré effects are due to the fact that a camera is a CMOS, so there's all grid pattern on the camera, but LED is that also. So the LED is consisting out of pixels, which are in a grid. And as you can see here on the image, if those two grids are not aligned with each other, you create moiré patterns on your screen. It is a thing that you can never solve with an LED. You can only try to improve it. And there's multiple ways to improve it. The first one is on the camera side. And what we generally do on the camera side is we invert or we add what we call a rolling shutter and a low-pass filter. So we soften a bit the grid that is in the camera. Second way to resolve it is to change pixel pitch on your screen. So the smaller the pixels are on your video wall, the less moiré effects you also might occur. And then the third one is to adjust your shots a bit to the situation that you have at hand to make sure to avoid moiré. Now, pixel pitch is probably the most defining factor in avoiding moiré effects. So how do you now define pixel pitch is very much depending on the distance of the talent that is standing in front of the wall and the distance towards the wall. So depending on that distance, you can select all then not the pixel pitch. The main reason behind it is that your camera is focusing on the talent, the person, and is not focusing on the LED wall. So the further you are away from the wall, the further or the more out of focus your wall is, the less effects of moiré you might have. And we have like a kind of a bit of a rule here that you can see. So depending on the distance, if me standing in front of the wall or moving away from the wall, we can lower or make the pixel pitch higher. What we generally see within a broadcast environment is a 1.2 to a 1.5 millimeter pixel pitch. The screen here that you're seeing is 1.5 to avoid, again, that moiré effects. Aside pure the pixel pitch, there's far other advantages of using an LED wall within a backdrop. So, for example, one is a color space. You can see it a bit on the red on the bottom. Using an LED wall, your color space is far bigger than what you traditionally have. So colors really pop out. You see that on red, yellow, that type of thing. So the color space is very much bigger and can always be adjusted to what we want. Second thing is brightness. The brightness, it's an emitting technology. So we emit from the screen towards the camera. So everything which is environmental light coming in, like for example the spots that you see here, they don't affect the brightness that you see on camera. Nor will it affect, for example, the reflection. This is a fully matte screen, so even with spots on there, there's no reflection on the screen or no reflection visible on there. Third one, as we are using all kinds of different modules, we can make it very uniform. It is one single screen. Can be any size that you want, but we make it uniform and one single screen. And then bit rate is also a parameter that is important. It's mainly depending on the content that you put on. You want to have it as high as possible. Like, for example, high dynamic range, to have more bit depth, more difference between black and white in your screen. And then frame rates are important. In this setup, we only use one camera, so it's 50 hertz frame rate. Single camera, single content. If you would use multiple cameras, you would need a higher frame rate, meaning that you need to display multiple contents, and you select, depending on your camera, which camera selects one or the other image. But at that moment, your frame rate of your screen becomes double or triple or even 4 times the frame rate of a standard screen. And then the last thing is viewing angles. By using LEDs, and certainly now we shoot directly on the screen, but if you go to a very extreme angle, you want the same color across the complete screen. So LEDs have a large viewing angle, so they can also, when you shoot on very steep angles, maintain that same color. In very brief, this is what is the specification that is generally used within the market. We'll not go into too much detail. If you want, I can always explain. But this is what generally is applied in the market when a VR or XR stage lit wall is defined. The product that we are showing here is actually has all those specifications and is our Direct Light Pro solution. So it's a product that we make in Europe. We make it in our Slovakian factory. And it's made out of 27-inch cabinets that you can stack one next to the other. In theory, there's no limitation of the size of wall that you can make with this. So we just stack them. We can make a seamless wall. It has the brightness that you need. It can do HDR. It can do 10-bit to 16-bit depth to achieve everything that you would want in an XR stage, multi-frame remapping if you would want. And then also a range of pixel pitches available going from 0.9 up to 1.8. But as mentioned, generally it's a 1.2 to 1.5 that we use within the market. Here are a couple of our references that we have. So you saw already in one of the pictures the VRT, which is a Belgium thing, but going from broadcast studios to XR stages to even smaller stages that are used for commercials. Everything can be done with those LED walls. But what is the most important is not only the LED wall, is the complete solution around it. The LED wall is one thing, but it's only a part of a complete solution. So also that's why one of the major reasons that we are here, together with the people from Zero Density, is that combining all those forces, combining or showing the right content on the right screen is key in making a very good immersive experience towards Earthbring. In Plus, we also have tracking solutions, which you can see here around the screen, that allow the camera motion to be perfectly tracked and allow a perfect perspective of the content on that screen. So with this, I want to conclude my presentation. If you have any questions, we are here still for today. So any questions in terms of LED technology used for these type of environments, feel free to come over and pass by. Thank you.
Thank you very much.